We're still talking football on the SportsMax Zone and staying with the knockout format. Jamaica's the Lynk Cup Quarter-Final round kicked off on Wednesday with two matches, the first of which saw Tivoli Gardens, we have to say surprisingly, given their Premier League struggles, defeating Dunbeholden by 2-0. The goals coming late in the first half and early in the second. Tommy Lawrence first blasting home before Nikolai Fuller slotted home calmly following a Dunbeholden mistake. And good result there for Tivoli Lige. You were on commentary describing that one based on their form in the Premier League. No win since late January, and getting a win over a Dunbeholden team that has looked good in recent weeks in the Premier League.
Yeah, that was a really surprising result. I'm not going to lie. Tivoli, 10 games without a win in the league. 10. Every time they got a lead, it almost seemed as if they would always be pegged back. And although it wasn't the most convincing performance against Dunbeholden yesterday, they took their chances really well. I think that they had a lot of intensity when they were playing as well. It's clear that they see this as like a chance, which it should be, a chance to really go through and play some semi-final football, play some final football, because that's Tivoli. Tivoli are a big club. They'll want to accomplish these things. So it was actually a really good game. I really liked the intensity I saw from Tivoli. Dunbeholden were going all out as well. That second leg is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, when we talk about Tivoli, right, of course, I made some notes here. So, Nikolai Fuller, man of the match, right? Talk to us about his performances and, of course, you know, what you saw from him in this particular match.
Well, I think he's been a breath of fresh air to the Tivoli attack generally. He played for Excelsior in the Manning Cup this season. Excelsior didn't go very far, but he was obviously a bright spark, obviously a very talented player. But he played a bit deeper in Manning Cup, so I was actually a bit surprised to see him now coming to the Tivoli team, and he's been striking a part of a front two. As you can see here, he had a very intelligent assist for the first goal as well. So he's been playing really well. He's added a bit of fight and bite. So the players that had up top beforehand, yes, they had pace, yes, they had guile, but they weren't quite as skillful as he is. They weren't making the runs and the movements that he has been making. And for a young player, only 17 years of age, I think he's added so much to this Tivoli outfit, and I think he will continue to add it as long as he's here, of course.
So was this the win that they needed to get their confidence moving forward, or do you expect them to revert to what we saw, not getting the wins in their next performance?
That's tough to see. I think in the league they've almost resigned themselves because they're in 12th right now. Yeah. They
playoff out of it.
Playoff out of it, but they also can't get relegated just because of the teams below them being so far back.
Yes.
So it's a situation where they don't have much to play for in the league. So I think in these scenarios in the cup, that's what the cup is there for, as I mentioned, for they're going to go all out. You could see more intensity and more pressing in their play, yes, more verve, I could say, in their attacking play as well. So I'm expecting to see more big performances from them going forward. We'll see next week for the second leg.
Yeah, quickly before we leave this game, though, you mentioned Fuller that you were a little surprised at how he was used, but I think that is probably a recognition of the strategic difficulties coach Teddy Johnson has been having, because the front people he's been using aren't getting goals. Weekly, monthly, they get opportunities to score and don't score. So if he's experimenting a lot and using players in more forward positions than you had expected, it's probably understandable that he's just trying to find the right equations.
Yeah, he has been. He's been very vocal in saying that Teddy Johnson, he's been trying so many things. He's been trying players out of position. That's what happened with the front two yesterday, actually, because Fuller and Tommy Lawrence, Tommy Lawrence has played on the right. He's played in midfield this season. He played up top yesterday, I should say. He played really well as well. He added a lot, not only in attacking sense, but tracking back and working hard as well. So I think he finally found a formula that can work against certain teams, especially on the transition, because Dunbeholden are a team that like to keep the ball. So against teams like that, having a front two of two quick, intense players will always be a good thing for them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Portmore took on Molynes next, and although Molynes took the lead through a Jeremy Nelson penalty, here it is. Portmore fought back, and they got goals first from Stephen Young, pumping that one in. And then the St. Lucian, Alvinus Myers. Alex Marshall, brilliant here on the right channel. And what a delightful cross after a good build-up from the former St. George's College standouts. Here the St. Lucian, Alvinus Myers celebrating Portmore, a 2-1 win there and a first leg advantage. And pretty much Lige carrying on the form that they've been showing in the Premier League. I think they're like on a 4-game winning streak in the Jamaica Premier League and beginning to show a lot more quality and confidence in their game now, Portmore, than they did 6-7 weeks ago.
Yeah, Portmore are always defensively solid. They're always keeping out teams that have the best defense in the league, joint best defense in the league with only 13 goals conceded. But their issue, I think, was always scoring goals. I've been here, we've mentioned the quality that they've brought in terms of Alex Marshall and Lamar Walker. Walsh has also been getting on the score sheet a lot as of late. But Alex Marshall just adds a whole different dynamic. Came on in the 76th minute, just really changed the game, and the pace at which Portmore attacked, his quality just usually shows, and he showed again last night.
Yeah, and the Portmore coach, getting into the match, spoke about the fact that their focus is the Premier League, but of course they're going to put out good performances also in the Lynk Cup. Do you think they can balance both? Are we going to see them having continuous wins in both competitions, or will it come to a point where one will have to go?
That's actually a really interesting question, because they rotated a lot, and I think if they go with that type of lineup against some of the stronger teams in the Lynk Cup, it could be very detrimental to them. But he said that he's prioritizing the league, and you could see that because their upcoming fixtures in the league are very difficult. They have Cavalier, who are joined first in the league with 43 points. Then they'll have to play Waterhouse, who is hawking them down for the sixth place that they currently occupy, the sixth place that I said that they would occupy, mind you. Then they'll have to play Humberland, who is just ahead of them in fifth, and then they'll have to end the season playing the same Molynes team that gave them so much trouble. So that's their 4 games left in the league, and then in the Lynk Cup, it's only quality opposition left. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he mixes and uses his squad. But they do have a good enough squad, I think, to go far in both competitions.
Yeah, there are 2 games being played today. Cavalier are playing Mount Pleasant at the moment. Cavalier have failed to beat Mount Pleasant in 2 meetings in the Premier League so far this season. There was a 1-0 Mount Pleasant win and a 2-2 draw between them. But at the moment, as we go to the live feed, we are seeing that Cavalier are actually leading Mount Pleasant in this quarter-final first leg by 1-0, approaching the hour mark.
And I can see just by seeing Colin Anderson on screen and then now seeing Dwayne Atkinson, is because both of those players didn't start. It's clear that Cavalier made some half-time adjustments, and it's clear that it's already told 9 minutes into the second half, and they've gotten this lead over this Mount Pleasant team that I don't think are doing very well right now whatsoever. Yeah,
we were discussing how interesting it is that a lot of these teams that are adjusting for playoff spots now have the knockout to contend with, and Mariah alluded to it just now about having important competitions that you have to focus on. So rotating of players will be important, but as you correctly pointed out, Anderson and Atkinson didn't start, but they are now on, both of them. Is that Atkinson? Yes, there's Atkinson. But let's get that Cavalier goal and see exactly how they took the lead in this game against Mount Pleasant, who have been struggling in recent weeks in the Premier League. Anderson's cross.
Oh my.
Yeah, on the far post.
Ronaldo
Webster putting that one in. That was pretty easy. I think the Mount Pleasant defence line would have to account for their shortcomings there to coach Theodore Whitmore at the halftime break when it happened.
Yeah, Mount Pleasant, they're not playing really well right now. I do think that I've always thought that Cavalier were a better team than them.
Yes.
I thought that it was always individual quality bringing Mount Pleasant through, and that individual quality has begun to fail them because you can't depend on individual quality to save you forever. So it's going to be really interesting to see, as you mentioned, how both of these teams handle in this cup. I wouldn't be surprised if Mount Pleasant were happy to see the back of this competition, if both teams were, to be honest, because Portmore Cavalier is coming up this Sunday in the league. That's a huge game for both teams.
Yes.
Cavalier, who want to sustain themselves in the top 2 of the league, and then Portmore, who are trying to sustain themselves in the playoffs generally. So that's a huge game. We'll be looking forward to that one. So, and in addition to that, JPL teams aren't used to playing 2 games a week.
Yes.
It's not like in Europe where they build squads around the fact knowing that, okay, we'll be playing Champions League, we're playing in Europe, and we'll also be playing in the league on the weekend time. Jamaica Premier League teams don't usually have that depth. So
okay.
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, all right. So Cavalier leading Mount Pleasant by 1-0 coming up later this evening. All this on SportsMax 2. Harbourview taking on the Chapelton Maroons. We go to break. More to come on the SportsMax Zone.
Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news and entertainment.